No, so it's good that we are here to basically address this, is that we understand that nature of concern, and we thought that it best be we respond to this. So naturally is that there has been a few issues when it comes to the leadership within Ketmansop, where there has been a bit of conflict between the three leaders, and then at the same time following directive and moving forward with the party's mandate. So
when you say three leaders, you're referring to?
Our councillors, all three of them, the LPM councillors.
Yeah.
So the party in itself has attempted to mediate those sessions to get them to assist with one another. But then when we see that it is pulling away from certain directions of like decisions to be made and also meeting certain conduct, and then we hear all around that residents were concerned coming out of Keetmansop, the team and the people, the staff were concerned. The party had to be placed in a position to basically address the matter. And so if you also are aware that two of our members who were in the management committee were then illegally removed from management committee under a vote and so forth. So it reached the point that we needed to go to the litigate to ensure that our councillors are there. And I think that provides the background to show that this is not the footing that we would like to start when it comes to running things in Keetmansop, especially at the back of elections where we need to ensure voter confidence. So it was quite important that we had to address this now as early as possible so we can remedy the situation there. Unfortunately, the decision in itself, controversial as it may sound, was the best of a lot of options that we had. And so we had to determine what is the best way moving forward. And unfortunately, that is the decision that we're there. Or fortunately.
Yeah. There was a report in the Namibian last week talking about that Melody Swartboy, if that is her name, the mayor had defied the party instruction. There was a vote of no confidence that was supposed to be passed somewhere, and she was told to be absent from that process, and she attended or something to that effect.
So towards that degree. So what the party is also trying to do is why we took a while to actually decide to take this decision is that we also do not want to put our council in a negative light to ensure that there is that. We don't want a turn in that, but because there was a decision to be made. The whole process of the illegal removal of our councillors, they were mitigating directives and so forth as to how can we adjust this. This in itself, the decision in itself is illegal. And as the chairperson, Melody was in a position to address the situation. Unfortunately, now she became part and parcel of this illegal thing. But not to say that this is necessarily the only reason that's there, but there was, I think she abstained from the vote whilst it was in a position where we shouldn't have continued because the process in itself was illegal. So it reached a point now that we needed to litigate. So you can see with all these decisions being made and the fighting and lack of communication or what is the word, coordination between the councillors, the party now had to say, okay, how do we now navigate this moving forward? Because basically in that regard also is that if your team that is running one of your strongholds is not sufficient and so forth, it's the people who are voting that struggle at the end of the day where you can't get these directives. And that's why the party had to make this decision to say that, okay, we need to redeploy and look at the situation as to how best can we mitigate moving forward, because we're already losing voter confidence at the back of a controversial election. So it's like we don't have the time or the luxury of basically doing this. Also, it's within our mandate to really also strategize and deploy. So that was the other concern. People are saying that it's illegal and so forth, but it's not. The party has done this. The party has recalled councillors time and time before. Not in a dramatic fashion as this. I think the last one was Herki who burned the flag, and so so basically this is nothing new, but it's really in ensuring that we can ensure that we can do what's best for our people on the ground.
So just for clarity, Melody Swartboy was recalled only as mayor, or is she kicked out of council altogether?
So this is another thing that was just a logistical thing, is that because mayor is chosen up amongst the councillors themselves, the party had to then remove her as a councillor to ensure that she does not have that position anymore together. So right now she is unfortunately out of council until further notice. She's still a member of the party as it stands, and the redeployment or deployment depends on the operative secretary. But right now as it stands, she's no longer in council.
Okay, you have substituted her so far, or you are still on the hunt for I suppose for your party? Do you also work with a list? Who's next on the list?
So there is a list, but I believe the party has already made conversations, and that I believe part and parcel of it was supposed to be the Keetmansop meeting, but as you can see in articles how that happened, was that discussion of moving forward. But the party, the office of the operative secretary had that discussion in length, and there is a plan for moving forward. So the candidate has been selected. I don't know if I'm privy to say who it is, but that's much is sorted, is that the replacement shall be up, if not up already, I believe. But yes.
Okay. And then you were quoted in the Namibian also affirming that there's an issue of a car there, party car that was that was with someone who's related to the former mayor, and the car has been wrestled away from that person also.
Wrestled is a big word. So I think we need to take light of that. As any organizations, you have you don't have an infinite amount of resources. So it is that this individual, who's our deputy operative secretary, was awarded the car to do work in that region specifically, because we are trying to ensure that come next election that we have structures in place, we have everything to ensure that we can safeguard the elections and safeguard the processes. So that was the element to it. So in this narrative and so forth, because Keetmansop was just escalating and so forth, was that we needed to redeploy the car for other party activities. The party has like 4 cars, so like it's not. So it was just, can you please bring the car to this individual so we can collect it, so it can be used for other activities. That became a conflict and back and forth, is where now the individual was asking for reasons and so forth. And as on a LPM standard, it was just that, no, it isn't in our policy to write out detailed reasons, just like it's a party activity. But even so, we can do that thing. So that back and forth, we see it isn't as necessary as a situation as it should be, but because this is as a common exercise, we always relegate our resources accordingly and so forth. So all our cars it's not given to a specific individual. It's used for party resources. So that is just a structural administrative issue that we have currently for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up so in Onipa and then Ombili.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ombili is basically Freedom Land, Ombili, Okuriangava, Akahana, Penning Street. You know, those are back then. Those were the streets that were not safe at all. You know, they were not safe. They were not nice to grow up in. So I grew up in Ombili. I remember drinking beer at an early age. My mom gave me, you know, the beer at an early age. How old was I? I was very, very young. And because of this separation and because of this, so these guys, the Homchas, where we would go to their house so that we can, because they had food. They always have food. So we'll be taking care of their house. We'll go to their house to take care of the house, and they would treat us like they are boys. The good thing is they never introduced us to cocaine or drugs or stuff like that, although you could tell that some of them were doing it. But they were well known, and they were rich from what we saw perspective wise. So we'd go to their houses, and so sometimes in the north, sometimes in Ombili. Now, because of that no family structure, you end up having this, everybody wants to belong. So you end up being part of, I used to be part of a gang called the FBI. I don't even know why it was called the FBI. But the FBI is you know, like the police in the United States. So I used to be part of that gang. What we would then do is would walk in a group, and at night, and as ons we've seen, bro, jy's daar voor ons, we come after you, take off your stuff. I think I wasn't really into it. I was always the smart one. I was always the smart one, in a sense that I was the finisher. Like, my face wouldn't be the first, you know, if we come for you. So now, for example, I think most of us have heard of this the gentleman that was killed, Kablo, that was killed by the cops. So those are the people that I used to hang with. There's another guy that I used to hang with. His name was Nico. He was stabbed to death. There's Babiki. There's Frankie. There's so many people that if I mention some of these names, many people will be able to recall. So I grew up in that background. So now, because of this sense of belonging, and my parents separated and being poor, you had to try and survive, which was very, very difficult. So we were poor, man. That's my background. It wasn't a good background. It was a poor background in every aspect. But at least there's one thing my parents did very well, which was to push me to at least finish school. Yeah, which was quite interesting, that I'm proud of, although I failed at several occasions school-wise. If you don't stop me, I will continue talking.
No, but before we get into the business side of things, as to how it led to you venturing into being a life coach and speaking to the youth and just people of all ages. Man, take us through the witchcraft story, man. I was going through a few things now, and honestly, I was quite interested, because funny thing is, we always see or hear of witchcraft, but some people, including myself, haven't seen it firsthand. But the way you've explained
it, have you experienced it?
No.
Okay, they are coming for you. I'm joking.
No, I'm protected.
I'm joking. You're protected. Okay.
But
Let me not make you afraid. Okay, so there was this lady that was practicing witchcraft, our neighbor in Ombili, and she wanted my mom to die so that we end up on the streets. The reason for that is because my mom had a job, so she was jealous, literally. I've seen my mom going to hospital and coming back, and we were told there's nothing wrong with her. But how do you tell me there's nothing wrong with a person when you can literally see the person is not doing well? And then this lady, at some point, she actually poured like a mixture of blood with meat at the front of our home. That I saw practically. And there's just a lot of things that I saw growing up.
Did that not scare you?
Related to witchcraft. At one point, this is the worst. At one point, there was this guy it's an elderly man that would pee like in the streets, and you must be afraid that he doesn't point his manhood towards you. Otherwise, you pass on. You die, literally. So,
really?
And he was doing that. Yeah, he was doing that. We've seen all kinds of things, man. Like a cat will be wandering around and you throw a cat and break its leg. The next thing is the lady is in the cement, or what is it called in English? Like they've broken. So for me, what I've experienced practically was that observation, and also these things of you being strangled. But you can't see what is strangling you. That you are being strangled, you cannot breathe.
So we do consultation, but we make sure that all these consultations we are doing, they are targeted consultations. The government parastatals are involved. They know what is happening. The project that they've submitted, they are involved. The communities where some of these projects will be implemented, they are also involved in the sense that they know what we are trying to do.
Okay.
That's why earlier in March, we were in Rongo region with consultation. I think 3 weeks ago, we were in Karas region with the same information sharing to say, this is what we are doing, and we want you to know what we are doing, because that money will come and support some of the projects that will be implemented in the Karas region, some in the Rongo region, some in Kunene, some in central area. So we want them to know it's part of the requirements of this submission that if you don't do consultations, we will not be able to qualify, because what if we give you money and then the projects start being implemented and then get rejected by the communities? Or the parastatals that need to perhaps sometimes support this project are not informed that they might need to even take a year before they can be able to be plugged in on those projects. That means that's a wasted time and wasted resources that could be allocated to other countries. So that's what we're busy now to put together, that sectoral transformation investment plan. And we should be done with the draft, at least the first draft, by July to August. We must submit a draft that we submit to CIF. And then at the same time, it must also be uploaded on public platforms so that public members can have inputs in that draft. And eventually by October, we should be able to submit a final one and go and defend it and eventually by end of the year we get feedback on what is going to happen, whether we get the entire 250 or we get part of that. Because I know recently CIF has announced that the top countries that are in front of us, which is Brazil and Mexico, they have gotten their $250 million US, all of them, which was just approved, I think, a week ago. So we are hoping that with the joint mission that we have now, we are calling it a joint mission because it's CIF Secretariat. They are here in Windhoek. Is the multilateral banks, that is your World Bank, IFC, Africa Development Bank, and now Namibian government ministries, different ministries that are involved in energy production, environment issues, water issues. They are all now, we are all seated in Windhoek since Monday until tomorrow. And then I think tomorrow evening we'll drive to Erongo region so that people can go and see some of the pilot projects that we have in the country.
Okay. Well, congratulations on how far you've come.
Yeah.
You know, as a Namibian, I've got to immediately raise my concern. These new clean industries that you are trying to build.
Yeah.
Do they provide jobs?
Most definitely. You see, what I think, just to reflect back a bit, where and how this idea. Remember, from the onset, it was mainly just seen as green hydrogen.
Yes.
But what we are doing now is actually more than green hydrogen. And that's why you saw, even when the president or cabinet has approved the Green Hydrogen Council, it used to be called Green Hydrogen Council, it has been renamed to Green Industry Council because of the expanded mandate of the things we do. We are not just focused on hydrogen anymore. It's a whole value chain of renewable energy and what you can do with renewable energy. So job creation, obviously. And obviously, if you look back when this whole conversation started, there was a lot of misunderstanding, and maybe our messaging was not well also crafted to say we are going to solve the issue of unemployment entirely. It's not going to be like that. Obviously, the idea was to create an additional economic engine to add on tourism, mining, agriculture, fishing, so that we can be able also to supplement some jobs. But the bigger portion was more to industrialize and industrialize in a cleaner manner, in the sense that using CIF money, the money that we like now, what we are trying to mobilize, we are required to industrialize in a way that is sustainable to the environment as well. Because the broader conversation lead is climate change. So obviously the jobs are there. If you look at the projects, currently we've got 2 projects in Namibia that are already producing green hydrogen, obviously utilizing renewable energy. And each of them, if you look at those projects, for instance, High Iron Shivela, phase 1, they had to install about 44,000 solar panel units in just near Arandis there. Those were installed by Namibians. They had to engage about 60 SMEs involved in their construction and the installation. Currently they are operating, I think, with more than 30 people on site. Those are Namibians. So the element of job creation is there, but we are not going to solve the entire issue of unemployment, because if you look at our numbers, we are saying it's above 30% in terms of unemployment rate. But if you look at it, as they keep saying that the broader definition of unemployment can then bring us to 50%. That can't be solved by one sector. We need all of us. Agriculture needs to come in, mining needs to come in, most especially, and this is how we see renewable energy sector. It more like interact with most sectors. You saw, I think somewhere earlier I think a month or 2 months ago, we saw the announcement by TransNamib with the announcement that together with CMB-Tech, they are going to launch this year their first locomotive that will run on hydrogen and diesel. It's those type of interaction that we are anticipating to see with different sectors. And that's the value we need to start capturing within our economy. Obviously, over the past 30 years, we've been extracting, dust off, and export. You look at lithium, you look at uranium, gold, all these things copper. What do we do with them? So we want to be able to see if we can change that and industrialize. Perhaps slightly late, but it's better we start now, because if you look at the ambitions of Vision 2030, they are saying we're supposed to have our secondary sector contributing at least 40% to the GDP, because currently we are still, I think, around 18% or 16%. which is way far. And all these numbers, we must be able to change them, but we can't change them with the same approach we have been doing things over the years. We need new innovative ways to add value to our minerals. And in adding value, that's where we create jobs. Because if you look at our number of the total population, we have 3 million. And I think the president has set a tone earlier when in last year that we are too few to be poor.
Yeah.
I received some responses from some people who were saying, and you as a councillor, why are you wasting time complaining about an application form? What is an application form? Some are saying, you think this money is supposed to come from where to buy? Look, Toivo, the day I went there at the office of the councillor, there was a lady from the village. She was having a child. That she looks very vulnerable. That lady could not afford the mere $9, but that lady is a graduate, and she came there at the constituency office, and and she don't have that $9. What literally means that lady have to go back home without that application form. Now, how is the constituency now assisting this? And that was exactly my question that I was asking. How do we assist now then those who cannot afford?
Yeah.
Because then now someone is a graduate, they are done, they are not having that $9. How do we assist such a person? And remember, Toivo, it's not just about $9. Let's think this deeply. Let's say, for example, this person is applying for maybe even 9 posts. Because then with this hard economy, you have to try your luck. You throw here and throw there. This $9, 9 times 5, it's almost 45. Yeah. Times 10 is almost $100. And there's a mere chance also that this person can make a mistake. When you make a mistake in $9, you wasted your $9.
You must get another one.
You must get another form again for $9.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing, and it's not only in Otapi now. I came to learn that even in other constituencies like Okalongo, like Otamanzi, and that's why it now speak to the vulnerability of the community. Go to Otamanzi; those are the most vulnerable people there. Yeah. Go to elsewhere. Maybe in Otapi you can say there are better people who sometimes they maybe live in town and so forth, and they are struggling. How do those people can afford the $9 for 5 or 6 forms? You are also jeopardizing those people or their chances of getting employment in a way. It's a government; they're not assisting. It's a serious thing.
Yeah. Ideally, what should be the situation? Are you saying the price must be reduced, or there shouldn't be any payment at all? Because of course, there's a lot of logistics involved also.
Yes, in my view, I feel that they must be free. These forms, the people must get free. Or we can let us say we give a free form, and then if they make a mistake, they can then come buy, but also at a reasonable price. Because look, the government is saying we are trying to assist the nation to get jobs. We are trying to take the nation out of poverty. Now, it's like the government is taking advantage of the situation that the youth are. Because now, remember, every time the government, for example, a secular whatever is out, the councillors goes there, they announce, this secular whatever is out, go to the government offices. All the youth, they rush to the government offices. They don't even go to printing shops. When they rush to to government offices, they pay this money. It means in a day, a government can make a lot of money, more than even the printing shops. What does it mean entirely? When a councillor is calling the youth to come to his offices, it means we are thinking, in our perspective, we are looking at it that he's helping. But in a large scale, the government is making what? Money out of this youth. They are actually taking out a lot of money from the youth, because that profit is even an abnormal profit. Because I think for us to solve this problem, and the official there explained to me that one of the challenges that they have is that the machines, all the regional councillors that they're having, they are renting them. They don't have their own. If the government can purchase the machines for the regional council, and those regional council can have their own machines within themselves. Because remember, in the past, the regional council were not receiving budget from government. You remember that. But now currently, we are talking about the constituency officers are receiving budget. We must have the budget to say, this is how much the constituency can spend on making forms for them. The forms are not expensive. If you can make them even maybe 1,000 or so just once, and then they can just be there in the government in the office. If maybe then the ink is finished, then you can maybe start charging afterward. But now, the government have removed themselves completely from the giving that. And also one thing that I want to say here is this. The reason I'm saying the government is taking advantage of the situation that the Namibian people are in. Look at it from this angle. There was a time that the government, the 8th administration now, announced that youth must apply for youth funds. But for them to be admitted, it's advisable that they must register their companies and so forth. And many youth rushed to register their companies with BIPA, with NAMRA. And when you register a company, you must understand, you're going to spend around going to 2,000. People spend money. And then what happens? In a region, maybe people were taken 3 or 4 people are taken out. What did the government make? They made profit out of the youth. And there's nothing really for that the youth have gotten from that. It's an insult to the youth.
It's an insult to the
Yeah.
youth. How is the condition of young people generally in the area that you serve and surrounding areas? You mentioned an example of a woman, a graduate who was looking for a form.
Yeah.
Is it increasingly becoming an issue of where you have, because in the past it could be argued that no, you need to upscale yourself, go to university, go to this. But now people are there with their degrees.
Yeah.
What is your observation on the ground?
The situation is getting worse and worse. And today, when I was coming here, I came with a text. We were having a conversation. I said, if we are not careful, our country in the next 5-6 years will really be in a mess. Look, apart from me serving as a regional constituency councillor, I mean a rural authority councillor, I'm a teacher by profession. I've done education. And right now, if we have one post at the school, it can attract up to 500 applicants. It's not a joke. 500 applicants per one post. This is how serious the situation is. And when you look at these people and you look at their qualifications, it's people who, their qualifications, they have maybe, they completed maybe 2020, they've completed 2018, they have completed 2016, and you're like, yo, when will this, and some people look even hopeless and helpless. And you can imagine how much money this person have spent on running with interviews from one place to another, going in every area of this country, going to Katima, going elsewhere. The situation is becoming worse and worse every day. And that's why I'm saying the issue of application form must not be just looked at the issue of application form as people look at it, but at the issue of how do we assist the unemployed youth? Which platform? How do we make it easy for them to be able to go in the market? Even when you see, like some of the youth were demonstrating saying the issues of interviews must be abolished in the Ministry of Education. It's not just the issue of, yes, we say the issue of integrity, the issue of how do people get jobs now without the interview, but the reason why people are complaining like is because there is a problem. People are dead. People have run with many interviews and they have no other money that they can use. And if they can save a little, maybe by getting even application form from government or any other means for them to get job, then that can be better. But in the current state, it's getting worse.